Hi folks from the flight deck, welcome aboard. Sorry guys, that's the wrong speech.
It works.
How you all doing?
Nobody would know the difference.
How's it, guys?
Nice to have you with us. Got a special guest today. We thought about what would a nice theme be to kick off this week's show. And Ryan, you'd agree, so many of our friends stuck in all parts of the world at the moment, can't get home. Families are either here or, there's even a story with an Emirates pilot who is in South Africa, but his family is in Dubai. We've got a peculiar story here at Simaero. The United Nigeria pilots started their training in early March.
Yeah.
And obviously COVID happened, the lockdown happened, and that's why we joined you today with Captain Tiger from United Nigeria. Welcome, Captain.
Thank you, Brian.
It's
nice to be here.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have you here, Captain. You've been stuck in South Africa for a long time.
Long time, over 100 days.
Shame.
You know, and thanks to Simaero, we've been standing on our toes, so to speak. Been very busy with a lot of work, but really it's been quite a journey. It's about, we got here on the 15th of March, and the clock is still ticking. Families out there, the best we can do is talk on whichever devices you got, but it was completely unexpected for everybody. In aviation, outside aviation, you find yourself stuck here, but I guess for the better,
Yeah, I mean, there's quite an emotional thing that goes with it. I remember you actually calling me the one day during the, I think we were still stage 5 of the lockdown.
That's right.
You were actually about to celebrate your 50th birthday.
Matter of fact, I turned 50 here, away from my family.
Yeah, tough one that.
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
I was like confused, didn't really know what to do, and fortunately the guys just put a barbecue here and took some few photos. Couldn't go to the barber, matter of fact, I had an afro. And well, it's been awesome. Looking forward to at least taking some more photos with my family when I get back. That's the first thing.
And at least it looks like things are starting to, there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel now. So hopefully a repatriation flight or whatever it might be to get you home.
We're hoping and looking at mid this month to tops end of the month. Hoping there could be, the borders will be open or we get repatriation flights. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you came here to do initial training on the ERJ, which is no small feat in itself. Then this all happened in between your ground school and the actual simulator training.
Well, I'll never forget that because you finished your ground school training and you
straight
were
up.
just about to fly out and then
And
suddenly just cancelled.
Lockdown.
Lockdown.
Yeah, talk about excitement to go home
And suddenly,
and devastation straight after that.
exactly. But there's a life of man. You got to, work to take care of the family, and I guess this is all part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things in aviation. I mean, as pilots, we all get used to the idea
Yes.
that we have to be away from home a lot. I mean, some of my friends that are away on contract, are away 2-3 months at a time.
Right.
But yeah, this situation is exceptionally unique where, you plan to come down to South Africa for a week or two's worth of training and then end up being stuck here for 100 plus days.
Yes.
100
Shucks.
days, there was no small feat. But like we said, this is the reason we got Captain Tiger here today is, he's stuck in South Africa. There's so many people stuck, elsewhere. We mentioned it yesterday around guys, Air Japan, guys waiting there to come home, Hong Kong, all over, Australia, very difficult. Ex-colleague of ours, or Russell, I mean, his family is in Australia, he was in South Africa. eventually he's managed to get back to his family, but it's an incredibly stressful time. We've spoken a lot about, what can, with the obvious job losses that have happened, about, what we can do to try and, promote the guys to get new jobs and that. But what about the guys that don't necessarily, they've still got their jobs, but they're away from their families? The stress is probably just the same, if not more, in certain circumstances, particularly during a pandemic. I mean, you want to be there with your family, protecting your family, and now you're away on the other side of the continent. So, very, very difficult time.
Captain, how the rest of the crews, how they doing during this? I mean, there must have been a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, there was a lot of ups and downs in the sense that you find you can't go out. You get to go to the mall possibly about twice in a month, and there's spacing in the bus. So at a time, I think a bus can only take about 3 or 4 of you. If you are together, you can't access the mall. If you come as a team, you have to go in, spend like 30 minutes before the other person goes in, and most of them got families too, so it's basically the same old thing. Running a family all the way from here, like I told you about my son, King Denzel.
Yeah.
He was supposed to go on a promotional tour for his music and all that. I had to start coordinating all that from here. But as soon as the pandemic is over, I guess we'll get on with that.
Yeah, I think it's that's the sort of general theme. When this is over, we can try and get back to some sort of normality. I believe there was I think one of your guys actually became a father when he was here. Is that right?
Two of the guys. Two of the guys, matter of fact. Yeah, and they haven't seen the babies and all that. It's quite emotional.
I'm sure.
I've had a job where I spent a whole year not seeing my family. And the day I saw him again, I resigned. It was so emotional.
Yeah,
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
The contract was 5 months on, 1 month off, but I ended up spending a whole year. So.
But with that, we've done, a lot of us have done contract flying, and you get your mind prepared for a certain amount of time away from home. When we were overseas together, Ryan, doing our CRJ training, we knew we were away for a month, and you prepare your mind, and you come back. This case, you are, you plan for a month, but you're here for, like you say, 100 days.
It's almost like some choice is a worldwide thing, And for those who don't know the full name, my full name's Captain Tunde Ojongbede.
Yeah, I was going to wait for you to actually to say that. I'll keep calling you Captain.
I was a bit disappointed you didn't introduce Captain Tiger the right way, Brian.
I was going to write his full name in the show notes, but I'll leave that to Captain Tiger.
That's done, yes.
No, well, it's fantastic to have you here, and it's
my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure for the last 100 days. I'd say we've been in contact, we've become good friends, and I hope it stays that way.
Yes.
We quite a lot of news this week, guys, on the aviation side. South Africa's aviation now been open for a month. Week to week, we've kind of pushed a bit of new information. Safair, as an example, still doing well. The loads are still good. Airlink obviously going to be very happy now with the Port Elizabeth Airport open, Kruger and Mpumalanga, things like that. Fits more into their sort of game plan.
Yep.
So hopefully they can start increasing their loads and start doing well again. But a full month already that aviation or domestic aviation has been allowed for business travel. I think in general it's been positive. Now, like we're saying, it's just a case of waiting for that to open to the tourist side, so not just business travel, and also let's get these borders open so we can start traveling, cross border. Even if it's inter-Africa travel for initially, it'll be a huge help. But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think as of Monday is when Airlink gets to start operating to all the most of the usual airfields. Spoken to a few of my friends that are flying at Mango and Saf Air, and yeah, now that they're starting to gear up, they'll probably fly a little bit more than once a week, which I think will make them a bit happier. Yeah, the guys are sounding a little bit miserable about this once a week.
Flying is a strange thing. When you're flying hard, you long for those off days in between. But when you're not flying, waiting is just as difficult.
Exactly.
Or flying once a week, you never really get into the whole sequence of events that you need. I think the airports as well. I'm sure the vibe and that we normally feed off at the airport is not really there. You know what it's like if you're going on an overseas trip or a holiday. There's always a nice atmosphere at the airport. Certainly for me, that was one of the things I enjoy the most, walking through a terminal building and just feeding off that energy.
Yeah.
The pilots now, I mean, they're not getting that. I mean, the airports, they look a little bit derelict, to be honest.
Well, even from a passenger perspective, I've got a friend who just flew he was stuck up in north somewhere, Limpopo way, and took a flight down to Cape Town to stay there for however long. And he said the flight was the worst thing ever. He used to love flying. He lives in Dubai. And he just said he walked through that terminal and it was dead. And everyone was confined in little spaces, and then you got on the plane, you have to wear your mask, there was no food. He said the feeling and the vibe was solemn. It just wasn't...
business lounges are closed.
There's no shops open. It's crazy.
It's
very different.
Yeah, very different. We never thought we'd see that, and now, derelict airports, not quite the same.
Doesn't it feel a bit like a Hollywood movie? With everything that's going on there.
Matter of fact, it does.
Especially your situation. It's like it's a bad nightmare slash.
Did you bring that up because we're here with Denzel Washington now?
Oh, sorry.
Denzel's dad.
Yeah. It's look. It's going to change. It's going to pick up. Those shops are going to open again.
It has to.
People are going to start traveling. People are itching to travel. And we were going to talk a bit today about the hospitality industry and things coming, but we're just not there yet, are we? We need a few more things to happen before that industry can kick into gear, and certainly the aviation industry can start taking advantage of that. Right now, we're still in this sort of limbo phase, and until certain restrictions are lifted, we're going to be stuck there. It's just one of those things. But
it's ramping up. You can see it. The travel agents are starting to send out specials. There are a lot of hotels and lodges that have opened up now. Obviously, restaurants can open. You can go and sit in a restaurant. I think from Monday.
Yeah.
I think Monday you can go there. Problem is, a lot of the big restaurants are not opening because they make their money out of alcohol, and you can't sit and have a drink in a restaurant. So it's but a lot of the lodges are opening up. A lot of places in Cape Town and Durban and that. So it's ramping up. It'll never be fast enough. So
no, it won't be fast enough. But like you say, it's at least it's a start, and we'll get there. Some other news, just to touch on, Ryan, the Pakistan A320 accident. The report is out.
Yeah.
We didn't want to comment on it before that report actually came out. It's a horrendous report. Well worth the read if you're a bored airline pilot at home. It's a terrible sequence of events they got themselves into. Looks like they were high, put the gear out, then retracted the gear again, landed without the gear, got airborne, lost both engines, and then crashed in a neighborhood there in Karachi. Not a good advert for what we've been trying to push in terms of pilots around the world. We sort of promoting pilots to say how good, how useful they could be in other industries, and could because of the professionalism side. But now there's all sorts of other reports coming out about fake licenses, and it's a hell of a mess. I hope this gets nipped in the bud pretty quickly, because it's not a good advert for professional airlines around the world.
The fake license that's a major problem. I mean, when you're sitting with one pilot or two pilots with fake licenses, they've done a little deal, they've got their license somehow, and they've managed to get through training. How on earth? Who knows? But they're estimating 40%.
40%.
Yeah.
There's a bigger problem here.
There's a big problem.
Is this 40% of the general population, or
40% of the
pilots.
airline pilots have licenses that did not come through the correct channels, that looks like. We had
But just to clarify that it's 40% in Pakistan
Pakistan,
and India.
not around the
Not
world.
around
not
the
around
world.
the world. No.
Otherwise,
Pakistan.
Yes. Pakistan is peculiar to
Yeah.
Pakistan. Yeah.
No, just Pakistan. I don't know if you remember in South Africa, there was, I can't even remember how long ago it was. It must have been 15 or so years. There was a story about some of the cheating during the commercial exams and ATPL exams. Our CIA handled that situation very well, because the minute it became evident, it was stopped in its tracks almost immediately.
Exactly.
They had monitored phone calls, they had CCTV cameras that came up. You wonder if something extreme like that is probably what's required there in Pakistan. I hope they sort that out.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about, look, I'm no accident investigator, but obviously from our general knowledge, there's always that Swiss cheese model effect that happens in an accident when all the holes line up. And I mean, I think in that instance, in that part of the world, there's more hole than cheese. So
That part of the world, I think that should be about the only part of the world where you have that kind of situation.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of it anywhere else before.
Yeah, I think it is unique there, but it's that's going to have to be sorted out quickly.
Yeah.
Other news, Ryan, have you picked up? We mentioned yesterday you've been networking quite a bit this week, talking to pilots around the world. I've heard you on the phone backwards and forwards, trying to get the latest news. A lot of not everything's positive. It's not going to be. There's a lot of guys coming back or trying to get back. Anything else you want to say there?
yeah, it's hopefully one of my good friends, will have him as a guest on the show next week via Zoom meeting. He's one of my friends that's stuck in Japan. I just want to get a bit more clarity from him on exactly what's going on over there, because it sounds like things started opening up, but obviously as aviation's continuing, the airlines are realizing that the demand is not so much there, and they're starting to ramp things down a bit. So I think it's affecting jobs in Asia a bit.
Yeah, I got the similar sort of viewpoint from Singapore as well.
Yeah.
There's been a few sort of cluster outbreaks around the world of the virus, so they were looking at ramping things up, but everything is slowed down again. I suppose, like we're saying, it's just inevitable until there's this actual commitment to, right, aviation is up and running, tourism's up and running, let's start. It's going to be this bit of a stop-start affair.
Yeah, and the scary thing in Europe as well is EasyJet, talking of closing up shop as well. It's another 700 odd pilots. It's not nice.
Yeah, there's a quite a bit of negative news if you want to look at it from
job losses.
Pilots, admin people, engineers. I mean, Airbus is looking at retrenching 15,000 now. So that's a massive impact. There's just the production is not there, the orders are not there. But at the same time, you got Boeing started testing the Max.
Yeah.
There's positive news.
There's positive, and it all balances itself out. Where there's a dip, there's an increase somewhere else. And
Tiger, what have you seen? I know you haven't been at home in Nigeria, but obviously you've got friends and colleagues there. What's the general consensus in Nigeria at the moment from the aviation industry? Lots of job losses, or is it looking okay? Are you guys a bit more resilient than maybe other parts of the world?
I'd say it's more of freezing salaries for now, for those who haven't lost their jobs until things pick up. Some pay as much as 80% cut in salary, some nothing at all. it's hopeful since majority haven't lost their job. They just had either stop in salary or a certain percentage out of it. So I believe we are more in Nigeria more the word I'm looking for, that word, resilience. Yes, just like you said, more resilient. So far so good. There haven't been job losses in a higher percentage. It's just that sit and wait at home. When things pick up, then you take it from there.
Well, that's good news, because Africa as a whole seems to be, look, there's been the
Looking
inevitable
resilient,
losses,
right.
but Africa's looking okay right now. I mean,
I'm not seeing a lot of African airlines closing down.
Right.
I've heard of a couple of them out in Kenya, but they were pretty much under provisional liquidation before this started. So the impact has to be, they're not going to recover from it. But majority of the airlines that I'm in touch with, they cannot wait to get back and train. They want to do online training. They want to do whatever it takes. They want to be ready for when things open up.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. We've mentioned this before. Airlines that were battling before this are gone. Airlines that were on the up and up, and a lot of them were those airlines in Africa, they're getting through this crisis.
They're floating, but they'll get back.
They'll get back.
Yes.
Tiger, other job losses and other industry back at home. Have you heard anything, or is it is Nigeria itself looking relatively stable?
It's basically the same thing. Pay cuts, sit at home till things improve. Looks more in that direction.
No, that's good news.
What's the latest on the South African Airlines situation?
Well, that South African Airlines situation will take about another 5 episodes before we even get to the bottom of that. There's a lot. There's a lot coming out of that still to come. I don't think they need South African Airways need an equity partner. There's been no real news, and I think decisions will probably only be made when this whole crisis is over and they can actually see where the cards fall on the table. But for now, it's very much a hurry up and wait situation.
I think you got an issue. You got the business recovery practitioners in that. They're trying to do what they can. There's political interference. There's, I think, 4 main unions that represent all the SAA staff. One union says, let's give retrenchment packages to everyone. The other 3 unions are saying, not a chance. You're going to carry on and you're going to employ all of them. You're not going to retrench any staff members. So when you don't have the representation of your people and everyone is on the same page, you got a problem. How do you deal with that? That's a tough one, despite the financial problems that they've got.
I've listened to Grant Back, the chairman of SAPA, quite a bit on the news. He talks a lot of sense when he actually speaks, and you say, well, if you follow what SAPA are trying to push forward, maybe there's an option for not only survival but to get back to those glory years of South African Airways. Look, we need a flag carrier. We're passionate about a flag carrier, and we want them to survive. But a hell of a long way to go. Just to change the topic a little bit, I don't know if you guys saw, Brett, you more of an expert on this than me, but the open to work hashtag on LinkedIn, quite a nice thing. Putting yourself out there that you're open to work, not only in the industry that you were once in. We tend to follow aviation accounts, so your LinkedIn profile is very much narrowed towards the aviation fields. I think the algorithm that they're using for that hashtag is quite powerful, and it's I've seen a little bit of success from it already. Some people trying it out. Definitely worth a try. If you're on LinkedIn, go check it out. They actually put a banner around your profile picture, and it actually lets people know that you're available for other opportunities. Definitely worth a try.
Without a doubt, we've spoken about this quite a few times, and I think we need to, and we will go into it in depth, maybe next episode or the one after that. Everything has been disrupted. Our lives have been disrupted. It's time for everyone to disrupt their own lives in a way that suits them, and that is what is critical. You cannot sit back and sit in the washing machine and just go around and around and get thrown about. It's not going to serve you in the long run. This whole thing has caught everyone off guard, and you can go through an entire range of emotions, from disbelief to anger to disappointment, depression, and then you'll have days where you say, well, I've got to step out there, I've got to go and do it. So those emotions run wide and strong. But you've got to eventually get to the stage, all of us have to say, fine, it's happened. There's nothing we can do about it. It's no good moaning about it. How do I disrupt my life now?
Yeah.
That potentially is, I'm no longer in aviation. It's
I like
a
what
reality.
you're saying there.
We went through all those emotions you spoke about this week alone.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you can that entire range of emotions.
Yeah.
You know, we went through. To continue a bit with that, very nice feedback from our episode we had with Martin Stork, who spoke about using your skills as an airline pilot to enhance yourself in other industries. A friend of mine, ex-colleague of ours, Ryan, gave me a call, and Fran, she's a passionate. The only thing that she enjoys as much as riding her horses is her baking, by the looks of her Instagram profile. Every day there's a new loaf of bread that she's put in the oven there, and she actually listened to that episode, decided to change her, because she was actually looking for jobs at a bakery. She wanted to see what this is all about, and she actually adjusted her CV, her resume, to include the skills that she had developed over the years of being an airline captain. And she said she was listening to the show, decided to take that advice, adjusted her resume, got a call straight back from the bakery to say, we need you at this bakery. It was a nice thing to see. It was just a good feeling thing to see, and I hope more people sort of take that advice, start to use those skills that you've developed. Even if we've seen this for years, Brett. You apply for a job, and the first question is, what experience do you have? So we're inclined to think so narrow in terms of, well, I've never worked in a bakery, I've never been, whereas, if we take a positive out of this COVID crisis, it's that maybe those little barriers of entry have actually fallen away somewhat, and you can actually start to utilize the skills that you developed as an airline pilot for any industry you want to go in. I mean, I mentioned to you that another friend of ours, I don't know him particularly well, a Mango captain. I see he's repairing surfboards there in Durban. I mean, awesome.
There's been a lot of
self-employed.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'd rather be self-employed.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Just to also put my 5 cents in on this, but there's a lot of buy-in to that transferable skills, and which is awesome. I mean, like you said as well, Brett, disrupting your life. I think as pilots, sometimes that's the thing. We get tunnel vision because all we know is flying, and this kind of thing happens, and you think, what do I do now? Because all I know is flying. You got to disrupt your life a little bit to see where the chips fall, and that's kind of what's happened with us. I mean, gone from flying to podcasting.
so
it's
tempting.
I've always been a ostrich farmer. I farm birds and all that.
Yeah.
So it's just I sleep.
Is that where the muscles come from?
from the ostriches? I sleep and half a pilot, half a businessman.
Yes.
I've always
That's
put
awesome.
that in my head.
Yeah.
Well, we've actually been saying that the new world is going to be you're a pilot and a baker, you're a pilot and an entrepreneur of some sorts. But Yeah, nice with that LinkedIn hashtag where you're not restricting yourself to just being an entrepreneur. I mean, a lot of people, don't want to do or don't really know what they want to do. So that hashtag, quite a nice thing to give you some feedback on what's actually out there. So definitely encourage people to go in that direction. I like what you say, Brett, with the disrupting of your life, and yeah, that's kind of what we're doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a nice feeling.
I think a lot of people have an inner desire to do something different as well. Not to say let's not be a pilot, but they've got something else that they want to do. And often it's fear. You're not sure where it's going to go. Should I even try it? What if I fail? What have you got to lose now? There's nothing around except those opportunities. So there shouldn't be fear. There shouldn't be concern. Just get out there and go and do it. Do something different.
You know the old saying that goes, there's opportunity in war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When this kind of situations present themselves, you have to be ready. And I remember being out of a job for about 2 years. I went to the university in the Nigerian Defense Academy and studied one. I got a master's degree in public administration.
Wow.
And it's on the side. I'm going to need it sometime in the future.
Yeah, that's a nice story.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's brilliant.
Nassim Taleb's got a quote, the two greatest addictions, a monthly salary and heroin. Your monthly salary, as secure as it is, and that security it's given you over the years, is also that thing that's been holding you back from doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
As airline pilots, most of us are very lucky that we love our job and enjoy our job. Some people didn't, and this is the opportunity to go into another field, the field that they want to actually go into.
We were joking about movies earlier, and I was thinking, this is kind of one of those times in your life where you have to almost see it as a Rocky Balboa movie.
Yeah.
You've got to have that Eye of the Tiger tune playing in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Excuse the pun, but
Yes, you're right. Well, look, we've already spoken here for 35 minutes or so. It's been a nice show, and it's been a real privilege to have you on, Tiger, and hope that you get home soon, go and enjoy the time with your family, and then see you back here in 6 months' time for your current training.
The pleasure is mine, and just knowing that I'm the first guest ever on the show.
You're the first guest on the show.
I'm
yeah.
really honored, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Well, as long as you promote the show for us, then we'd love to have you on again. So, that goes for everyone. Please, on your podcast platform of choice, please go on, subscribe, like us, follow us, leave us a review. That's the only way you'll get every episode automatically downloaded. So it's free. Download it, have a look. And in saying that, I mean, podcasts are such a great way to learn things. So have a look at what else. There's business podcasts. There's all sorts. It's well worth it. And we're still on Facebook. Follow us there as well. Our latest news goes on there with the latest episodes. And we want to hear from you. So send us a mail. All that information will be in the show notes. And thanks again for your support through the last week. It's been fantastic. And we'll see you again soon. Guys, anything else?
catch you next week.
Next week.
Have a good
Awesome.
one.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Next
Captain.
time, thank you
Cheers.
so much.
Cheers.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, that's all for this week, folks. Thanks for listening and for your continued support. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and pass the show on to your friends, your families, and your colleagues. If you'd like to get in touch with us, my email address is in the show details. Stay positive, keep the passion alive, and we'll see you next week. Cheers for now.